The nature of light will tell you something fascinating about the nature of the universe. What I mean by this is the way that it behaves when it interacts with a warped geodesic. Because to us, we experience a curved space-time. It is all we know as inhabitants of planet Earth. Our space-time is curved. And so we experience gravity in a as an experience. We fall to Earth. But light follows pure geodesics. It doesn't exactly travel, it just arrives. And we find it kind of perplexing when light just ends up in random places or uh, places you wouldn't expect it to be and acting in ways you wouldn't expect light to act. But I think it has a lot to do with how fast it's going and the fact that it follows geodesics uh, in the way that it does. When you imagine the universe in the perspective of light, you have to accept that even though light may be perceived to pass beside a planet, light follows any geodesic in a straight line. What this means is when you travel as fast as light, you have to unwrap the curvature of space-time. That's how you follow a straight line. And that's why light ends up in places you wouldn't expect it to end up. Because when you travel as fast as light, space-time dissolves or unravels or uncurls. It ceases to be curved. The curvature of space-time unfolds when you're talking about speeds relevant to light. And that's why light knows its destination before it arrived. Because in the perspective of light, space-time was never curved. That bend that it took around a planet as it followed a geodesic and landed somewhere in a curved manner was never actually a curve. It was a straight line perceived by light from the moment it left its source. And in this way, time also uncurls or unfurls. Light is aware of its destination before it arrived, chronologically speaking. It's hard for a human to imagine or perceive, or I guess, understand, because all we know is curved space-time. Even the astronauts in low Earth orbit, or whatever orbit, I think it's low Earth orbit, uh, still experience curved space-time as they orbit the Earth. They experience less of it, but they still experience it. They are in the paradigm of Earth's gravity and are subject to it, although albeit at higher speeds, higher velocity. So astronauts do experience on a daily regular basis less curvature of this of space-time, of Earth's gravity, but they do still experience it. It is a phenomenon that humans have a hard time grasping and escaping. But light, something that is completely unbound by the idea that gravity is an illusion. All light knows is where it's going to end up. In a sense, it can't escape. There is nowhere for light to go. It is just simply going and arriving. In this way, you could technically call the universe a black hole because there's nowhere for light to go. There's no place light can escape. There's nowhere light can uh, be, I guess, free from the fateful paths of geodesics, and it's because it's traveling at such a high speed. The universe unfurls, and space and time become a linear destination for light. Anyway, later.